What's up, everyone? It is Friday, April 25th, and we just concluded our first full night of running dungeons, or just one dungeon, on the MDI tournament realm. So really, really cool. Made some real progress. So whereas the other night we kind of just wiped on the first boss of Mechagon and died over and over again, this time we started at the beginning of the night with Underrot. So it's not so much a goal of ours to place top 8 in the tournament, because I don't want to be disappointed and be realistic with my expectations in that I feel like we can time these keys, and we can push ourselves and see how far we can get. But there's a lot to learn and a lot of work to do, even on just a single dungeon heading into this weekend. So we spent tonight on Underrot. We started off the beginning of the night with no experience on the combination of affixes that they have, and then by 3/4 of the way through the night, we had killed the first 3 bosses. Our best time was we killed the second boss of Underrot in 17 minutes. So the only time the official time that's been posted is an 18-minute Underrot, which is absolutely nuts. That means that someone finished the whole dungeon in just a minute longer than it took us to do the first half. So there's a lot that we need to do, to be better at all this. And so it feels good, though. It was a step in the right direction. It feels good to actually practice and work on things that are really hard and see ourselves make improvements over time. And I do think that there's some consistency that will continue to grow over time as we just kind of beat our heads against the wall of the dungeon. And I do think the interesting thing, though, is that I'm not burning out. Like, it feels challenging. It feels interesting. Each repetition is just an opportunity to pick it back up and do another rep. And I definitely think sports and my dance training kind of prepared me for that, because when you're doing a dance routine and you get 75 steps in and you make a mistake, what do? You start at the top. You just do it over. And that's the reality of dancing, and that's the fun of dancing, is the perfection of it and getting it all right from the very beginning. And there is a bit to be said for adjusting, and so our best run, where we actually had a 17-minute kill of the second boss, the Ret Paladin in our group died on the first boss because he accidentally got aggro somehow. We're not even really sure how. But he died, we battle resed him, we just went forward. And so I think there's a big part of that that's just pulling, making mistakes, getting exposure. And I think that we got exposure to the first 3 bosses and feel like we have an understanding of what needs to be done. We just need to do it now without making mistakes. And then from there, we need to push into the last half of the dungeon. And I will be extremely happy with us as a group, even if we just post an official time that is under the dungeon time. 19:33 minutes is the time for the dungeon. So if we time a 19 after coming in with no experience on anything higher than 16 as a group, or 17, I think we did one last week, coming into a 19, playing some new classes, playing new builds, playing a new combination of affixes that actually doesn't exist on live. What is it? It's teaming bursting, or teaming bolstering. That's what it is, teaming bolstering. And so I went back and looked through all 12 weeks of Season 4 since Awakened came out. There has not been a single week where the combination is teaming bolstering. So it's a bitch of a dungeon. It's a good time, though. It's really, really fun. And like I said, I'm really proud of us. We've made big strides. And since I started this almost 2.5 months ago, from playing with random pugs and not really having a plan to being on the tournament realm, making actual progress as a team, feels really good. I do think there's still the challenge of availability that I mentioned last night. The guy in our group who's hasn't been able to make it all the time also had to leave early tonight, which is a bit disappointing. So we'll see how his availability plays out over the course of the weekend. But I may end up having to make a hard decision to try and find someone who's a little bit more committed, or who can commit more time, is a better way to put it, because he's committed emotionally. I just don't know, like I said, his schedule seems like it may be a bit too much for him to be able to commit an entire weekend to time trials, or guarantee that he can be online for MDI if God knows how, we're actually able to qualify. So that's it for now. Really great night. It feels awesome to have set a goal and to have figured out the path to get there, and networked and talked to people and found good people to play with, and setting up practice times and all the other systems that have made this possible. So at some point I'll do a recap of everything that I've done over the last 70 days to hopefully inspire people and show people how I got to where I am in such a short time. So thanks so much for watching. Talk to you tomorrow.